Hi. It's good to see you. Esther has a birthday in June, and so it's not quite summer, but I consider it kind of a summer birthday. And for months leading up to her birthday, she had one thing in mind that she wanted, more than anything. She wanted a guitar, which is better than drums, but it's still an instrument that needs some training to be able to play it. So Jennifer and I looked around, and we found a place nearby that has a music school, and we went there and figured out what kind of guitar we should get a 6-year-old, and then we signed up for some lessons, and we bought the guitar, and then on her birthday, she received it, and she was ecstatic, and she started strumming it right away, and she didn't know anything, but she was strumming along. And then we went to the first lesson, and the instructor was telling her how to sit and how to hold and how to pluck and all, how to move your hands on theirs, what is a fret, all of these types of things. Does anybody play guitar? 0 people. Here's what this is. So this was an instruction. I actually own a guitar, so when we got home, so one of the things that the instructor said is, oh, well, for the first several lessons, you need to come and be in the lesson with her. Oh, okay, well, I wasn't expecting that, but here I was sitting in the lesson listening to all these instructions. He said, this will help you when you help her practice. I did not know that was part of the deal. So we got home, and I actually have a guitar, and I pulled out the guitar. I don't know how to play it very well, but I have a guitar, and I started to follow the lessons that I had learned when the instructor had been teaching, and Esther would start this, and the first week, it was amazing how much she improved and how much she practiced. But as the summer has progressed, I practice more than Esther. And sometimes, we have a lesson every week. Sometimes, I don't think Esther has practiced at all between lessons. So we go to the lesson, we sit with the instructor, and the first thing he asks, how much practice have you done this week? And I can see in Esther's face this feeling of, ooh, I haven't done much practicing, but she says, I really haven't practiced any this week. I did not chime in and say, I practiced a lot. But I was also I had this feeling in my stomach when he asked that question, because I felt like I had let down the instructor by not getting Esther to practice faithfully every single day of the week. And that feeling, that kind of sinking feeling, is something that I remember when I was a kid, and I still remember today. It happens when, in various situations, sometimes it's like I see somebody and I say, oh, I was supposed to call them, and I didn't call them. So, it slipped my mind. And I feel like, ooh, I didn't follow through. Sometimes I see somebody and I was like, oh, wait, their birthday was this week, and I forgot about that birthday. And I feel that I was like, oh, I should have said something. I should have sent them a card. There's so many other situations in our lives when we have good intentions, but we don't follow through. And we feel that little tug when somebody else comes back into our presence, and we've let them down a little bit. We can feel it. Now, if you don't feel that, that's not good. Because if you feel that little tang of guilt, that means that you care. And the reality is that we can never possibly do everything that we need to do to honor every single birthday and every single phone call. We just don't have enough time. And when you look at the world around us, there are so many issues that are at play. Homelessness, hunger, war, the various things that are going on, the systemic issues that face our society. if we take them all in personally, we will all feel this pang of guilt every single day of our lives. Because we all fall short. And I think this gospel lesson that we heard is about what this is all about. Now, I'm going to give you a little bit, often this is the way we think about this gospel. It's a miracle, right? Miracles are teaching us something. Jesus, through that story, we are learning something about Jesus and about God. And in this particular story, we often think of Peter being this heroic person who is as one of the 12. He steps out of that boat. He's the only one that does it. He's the hero. The other ones are sitting back there going, "Oh, I'm scared." He gets out there and does something, takes a few steps, and then he starts to sink, gets wet. And Jesus reaches out to him and said, "You of little faith, why did you doubt?" Now, we often interpret this as, oh, well, Peter's the hero. If all the disciples had this kind of spirit to go jumping out there, this would be great. And Jesus says, if you had more faith, you could have done this. And we think to ourselves, well, if I had so much faith, I could solve homelessness and hunger, and there would be peace throughout the world. Everything would be amazing if I had these things. But I think that there's another interpretation of this miracle story. One that doesn't put Peter as the hero, but is Peter as the one who jumped out of the boat and got wet. Look at the beginning of the passage that we heard. It's right after the feeding of the 5,000, which we heard last week. Jesus tells the disciples to get into the boat together and go to the other side. He didn't say, all of you get into a separate boat and go across. He said, all of you get into the same boat. Then they start going, the winds get bad, Jesus comes walking to them on water, and then Peter says something. He says, "If it is you, call me out of the boat." If it is you. Peter began the whole clause there with doubt. If. Jesus calls on him. He sinks into the water after taking a few steps. Jesus says all of these things. And then Jesus picks him up and puts him in the boat, and once they're in the boat, the water's calm. This miracle is about something more than just jumping out of the boat. This miracle is about how we are not doing this alone. We are not doing any of these things alone. The boat is a symbol of how we need a church and our family and our community and our nation and our world. We all need to be working together. We all need to be situated in this place, this boat, and we can't go out on our own to handle the biggest issues that face us every day. We need the support of other people. We need to have each other's backs. Jesus wasn't saying to Peter, if you had had enough faith, you could have just kept walking on water by yourself. Jesus is saying to Peter, if you had faith in your group of people in that boat, you would have sailed right along. I would have joined you. We could do this together. It's really hard for us to think that we need to rely on somebody else or into some group. We all want to be the hero. We want our team to be the hero. But what Jesus is asking us is to think about, how do we work together? How do we stay together? How do we support each other? How do we love one another? And if we do that, we can do anything. So as we go from this place, and as we consider this story of miracle, think about how you can do something every single day to help the group make a difference in the world. Esther's guitar teacher says, practice every day just a little bit. If we can do that in our lives, we can make things happen. We can do it together. Amen.